ladies. You are watching Escape Adulthood Live, your number one source for long-lasting, fast-acting, physician-approved adultitis relief.
On this week's show, we're talking about our anniversary trip to Idaho, the new American dream, and how to win the games of life.
Boy, we're out of the studio for 1 week, and you forget all the little fancy buttons, and everything's all thrown off. Greetings and salutations, everyone.
Thank you for shenanigating with us. I see a lot of awesome people showing up here talking about ice cream flavors.
Yes, Holly says that she wants to know who has had ice cream for breakfast.
Ooh.
Has anyone here
Legit?
had ice cream for breakfast?
The question I have to ask is like, and then have nothing else, or just like, is that the start of breakfast?
Yeah, I don't know. I will say I have made homemade crunchberry ice cream out of Captain Crunch berries. Mm-hmm. Didn't have it for breakfast, but it's got the breakfast.
My dad used to put ice cream inside of a cantaloupe and eat that together.
Yeah, you said that.
A little breakfast
that was his thing.
Dreamsicle kind of thing. So thanks for being here.
We've got our a big friend here behind us. Kind of stinks a little bit. It's got flies everywhere.
Ooh, yeah.
But we're ahead of the 4th of July holiday, so we're tying in some of the Americana, but also wanted to acknowledge our Canadian friends up north. It's Canada Day.
Canada Day.
Happy Canada Day for you guys. Day.
We love Canada. Oh, we took a road trip one time, like through several cities: Montreal, Ottawa, and Toronto, and just loved every bit of it.
Been up in the Vancouver area. We have not been to the east side. We want to go to the east side one of these days. But
beautiful. So thank you again for being here. Last week we had quite an interesting little show from remote Idaho.
Yes, you maybe caught the on-location version where we celebrated our 20-year anniversary trip was in Idaho. And everyone that we have said that we went to Idaho wanted to know why Idaho.
Which,
so
by the way,
that's a good question.
Yeah. So I think we referred to this last week, but this is literally a drawing Jason drew for me probably in 1996. And I don't know if that's kind of like the early version of Kim, the comic
maybe
strip
even
character.
Sooner than that, actually.
Yeah, it might have been 95. One of our first conversations we ever had in our entire life together involved Idaho, and we were talking about where would you like to live someday, and we both talked about lakes and pine trees and mountains, and we're like, maybe Idaho. And then we joked about potatoes. It was like that playful, flirty banter that happens when you're just getting to know somebody. And Idaho kind of from that moment on became this kind of mythical place, even though a lot of people actually live there.
Does it really exist?
And in 25 years of dating and marriage, we had never gotten there together. So it was kind of this neat opportunity to say, let's go. And who knew when we planned it 6 months ago that it would be the perfect place to go post, or at the end of this pandemic with social distancing and all of it. So
a lot of other places probably would have been canceled. Flights and wouldn't have been able to go as easily. So it worked out for us.
Social distancing was part of what we wanted to do anyway for that.
Yeah, that was really, it was kind of weird. We had to do the whole mask thing with the airport and the on the plane, and Kim made up our masks and was fine. What was weird was how light the airports were. There's not a lot.
Eerie.
When we flew out on a Monday morning, right?
Yeah.
And it was normally would be a very high travel day. And it was dead.
Yes,
like
it was
relatively.
A little odd. You did feel
it was a little strange.
Like you were coming out of the apocalypse or something.
But it made boarding very easy, which was really nice.
An elbow room, like there's no one sitting next to you. So it was really, there were some really positives to it. I would definitely say that.
But the real reason we went to Idaho was for this view. Mm-hmm. And the place we stayed was Hope, Idaho, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
It was a population of 89 or something like that. And I'd say my highlights, there were a bunch of highlights, but one of the highlights was our morning times being able to just have coffee and pray and journal and eat breakfast on our infinity deck, which we showed you last week. Basically, there was no railing to block the view, which was pretty sweet.
It's amazing.
So that was a highlight. And then, of course, there was nacho time, where we just took as much advantage as we could of just being out, seeing this view.
Yes.
Lake Ponderay, I believe it is called.
It's a huge lake.
Ponderay, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's French for Lake Erie.
Yeah, it's kind of the shape of an ear, which
it's got
if
a
you're
weird
looking at the map,
shape.
it makes
It's a big
a lot
lake.
of sense. But yeah, it was beautiful. Yes, this little fire table, you could just turn it on. It was gorgeous. So we'd watch the stars come out at night, and that's where we do a lot of our best dreaming. I mean, we do a lot of dreaming on walks too, and so we did a lot of hiking. But this was a really peaceful place to just kind of evaluate the last few months. Plenty to talk about there.
Yeah, last 20 years, last few months, next few months, next 20 years. And that would often carry over into the evening. And because it's very far north, it takes a long time for the sun to fully set. So we got a lot of really pretty skies with the moon. And
it's about an hour south of the Canadian border, I think,
if that might
right?
even be shorter than that.
So long days, which was cool. And then we got to go into this amazingly cute little town, Sandpoint. And one of our favorite things to do and inspires us is to go into shops and galleries and just basically, look at little phrases, look at the art, look at how people put things together in their merchandising. And so that was one of the first things we did. And I bought a new journal and, things like that you're just kind of bopping around. This cool mural was pretty rad.
Yeah, I always get a lot of inspiration from the art, the architecture, the different things in the shop. I come away wanting to make stuff. And one of the neat little side alleys they had in Sandpoint was a graffiti wall that was, I think it was high schoolers and local artists had done different graffiti
down this whole alley. So I probably took 20 pictures of different sections of it. So I've been kind of playing around with some of that in the photo editing. But and then there was a little river down in Sandpoint, and one of the evenings, because the lake or the water is kind of protected by the mountains, there was very little movement on the water. So as you can see, the water was complete, like a mirror. It was like glass.
Yeah.
And it was messing
really
with our heads. We're like, whoa, this is so crazy. So
and when we were down there, it was magic hour, which we've talked about before, is the hour before sunset, and just gorgeous colors and sky and things like that. May have done it a little overboard on treats. We
were actually joking, what things would you not buy when you're going to be someplace for 6 days? And so we were taking some funny pictures. And kind of actually this part of our grocery shopping, because we didn't have kids with us, this is very rare. We were acting like we were dating. It was so fun.
We were entertaining ourselves, being goofy. When you have kids, you're we gotta go. We gotta do this.
We could actually have fun with each other in a playful way, that's a little different than our family dynamic. So I think we both had fun with that.
Yes, it was good, and I gained 5 pounds.
Literally.
In an unrelated note. And then when we were setting up for our live show last week, which we just shot on my phone, I had never used Facebook Live on my phone before, and somehow accidentally got this filter that put a hat and sunglasses on me. And then we played around switching up, and I was able to get it on Kim. So that was
a minute before we went live.
We should have kept that on for the rest of the show, but
we probably wouldn't have been able to figure out how to get it off.
No.
Like those people who are potatoes for the whole Zoom call.
Yeah. So it was a fun trip, and
I'd go back.
Yeah, it wasn't the sexy thing that a lot of people talk about for their 20 year, but we had a great time. It was gorgeous, and it's
right up our alley.
Got to try huckleberries for the first time.
Yes.
Kim's a fan.
Favorite fruit. It's basically, if you've never had a huckleberry, I would describe it as the perfect marriage between blueberries and raspberries. So a little bit more flavorful than a blueberry, but not as tart as the raspberry. It is a nice merging. So
yeah,
they were pretty good.
So we are going to be talking in a little bit about the American dream, and you don't have to be American to get this show. But, we sometimes feel a little bit busy and overwhelmed, and like we're trying to do so many things, staying balanced. And part of the reason that we're doing that is because we might be playing the wrong game. So we'll talk about that in a second.
And now, a word from our sponsors.
Yes. So one thing we want to share that has come up, which is really exciting. A past client a while back asked Jason if he would do like a 10-minute customized pre-recorded video for his group, to kind of almost serve like a Hallmark card of sorts. You know how like a Hallmark card is one of those things where you're like, I need to say these things. I want the recipient, in this case, these people to feel this certain way, but I kind of need a little help. And that's what a Hallmark card does. So Jason put together a 10-minute pre-recorded, uplifting, funny, lighthearted type message that kind of served as that way to help them feel appreciated and seen and give them some new ideas and tips. It was really, really cool.
Yeah, customized to them.
Right.
So it's specifically geared towards their group and what they are currently going through and things like that.
So now this is like a whole new offering that we were doing. We have another one booked coming up. And it's kind of serving as that in-between where people have like content they're putting out with their people, but they are like, oh, this is going to be really dry, or this is really heavy, or, especially with all the heavy topics right now that we're all dealing with and trying to address and be responsible about. How do we lighten this up? And so we just wanted to share kind of that as an idea. And we don't really have a cute name for it yet.
No, we got to come up with some sort of a cute little bite size.
Right. It's like the little 10-minute Hallmark card,
Yeah, but it's sort of a Corona blessing. It's like learning new things and adapting to a new way of doing things when I'm not able to do any live in-person presentations yet. Hopefully those are coming up soon, but it's been a kind of a neat thing that I could see this being
pretty cool.
Long-term, even for clients that have had me before that need kind of a shot in the arm or a reminder. That's one thing I do pretty good is professional reminderer.
Just remind me where I put things.
Yes.
So before we forget, go ahead and share this video if you would. Go ahead and push that little share button to kind of get the word out to as many people. Jason's going to be starting to talk about this guy behind us in just a second. But if you wouldn't mind sharing, that helps us kind of spread the word and fight adultitis together.
Thank you.
Life moves pretty fast. You don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.
So this buffalo is terrible at golf. I know what you're thinking. Jason. That's not a buffalo. That is a bison. All right. I grew up 15 miles away from a place called Buffalo Rock that had a bunch of these guys in it. And we called them buffalo. So that's what I call them. It's sort of like, I don't know why we have to change names of things, like Pluto's a planet. Now it's not a planet. I don't know. Either way, it's sort of like a woolly mammoth version of a cow. Right? And it's an American icon. And there are a lot fewer of them now than there used to be. Sort of like the buffalo that used to roam the Midwestern plains by the millions, the American dream is also fading away. Now, it's not gone, it's just different. Back in the day, the American dream usually had something to do with a house and a white picket fence. I don't even know if they still make white picket fences anymore. But what has happened now is it's sort of splintered into 100, maybe even 1,000 different versions. And in the name of diversity, I think this is actually cool because we now can have a little bit more control of what we want our American dream to be. Now, these different versions that we have, I like to think of these options as games, all right? Now, they're not games in the same way we think of basketball or golf, but that doesn't mean we haven't figured out a way to keep score. All right, back in the day, the white picket fence was sort of like a trophy that if you had it, you won, right? You were a winner. Well, nowadays we don't, have the white picket fence thing, and when you think of the basketball thing, it's like we're not keeping track of three-pointers or free throws or hole-in-ones or anything like that. But we do keep track of things like money, body weight, square footage, degrees, accolades, connections, sales, things like that, prestige, fame, you name it. So for instance, there's a retire by the time I'm 50 game that some people are eager to play. There's the make partner in my firm game, the solve homelessness problem in my community game, the own the biggest house in the neighborhood game, the enter and win marathons game, the do work that matters to me game, the get my kid into prestigious universities game, become debt-free as soon as possible game. These are just a few examples of the many, 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 many kinds of games that there are to play. Now, it's possible to play a number of different games in your lifetime and even a few at the same time. But I hope it's obvious that winning at any of these games requires trade-offs that will limit your chances of success at the others. For instance, becoming debt-free as soon as possible is a game that's really hard to play if you're also playing the I want the biggest home in the neighborhood game, right? Now, you know that feeling of overwhelm that you sometimes get when you're struggling with maintaining some semblance of life balance? That, my friend, is a telltale sign that you're playing too many games. The more games you play, the busier you are. The more games you play, the less chance you have at winning any. So, what game are you playing? I am convinced that my neighbor waters his lawn with angel tears and fertilizes it with unicorn poop. Kim knows. It is gorgeous. It is angelic. And I often kick myself that our yard, our lawn, does not look as beautiful and as exquisite as his. But then I have to remind myself I am not competing in the best lawn in the neighborhood Olympics. I am playing the spend as much time as possible with my kids while they're young game. The more time I spend looking for, harvesting, and spreading magical unicorn poop takes me away from spending time with my kids. Now, please don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying that certain games are necessarily better than others. It's just a matter of personal preference. For instance, my neighbor is retired. His kids are grown and out of the house. For all I know, and I'm pretty sure this is true, tending to his lawn is his happy place. I know many gardeners who just love to be out in nature and love to be tinkering and tweaking with their garden. Perfectly fine, right? So when it comes to this idea of the American dream, the real American dream has always been about taking advantage of freedom to make a life for yourself in the pursuit of happiness. Now, right now, we're in the middle of some pretty turbulent times. Believe it or not, that's good news because we've been shaken awake. We've been able to look and notice some of the games we've been playing, maybe games that we didn't ever want to be playing in the first place. And the other thing that big upheavals like this does is it opens up new opportunities that weren't there before. If you're not noticing the new opportunities you have in front of you that weren't there 4 months ago, you're not paying attention. All right. So what's the prescription? The prescription is to pick your own version of the American dream on purpose. A lot of times we just let ourselves go with what our parents expected of us, what we think we're supposed to do. We get on a certain track in our life based on what our major was in college, and we just kind of go in this direction, even though once we get into it, we realize, I don't really like this game all that much. Here's the thing. You can't play and win all of the games. You get to pick what you want to play, but you can't play and win them all. And if you're not careful, you can get duped into playing a game you don't even care about and end up making choices that distract you from a game that you do. I love the line by Naval Ravikant, who says, "Play stupid games, win stupid prizes." Put that in your head and think about that tonight. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. One of my favorite parts of this concept of being able to own the game you want to be playing is that you can let go of the jealousy, envy, and guilt that you sometimes feel when you're comparing yourself to people playing different games than you. You can be happy for them. So when someone is entering a Ironman marathon or triathlon and is doing well, I don't have to beat myself up and say, I should be in better shape. I should be doing that. Enough with the shoulds. I am happy for them. That is not a game that I want to be playing, at least right now in this season of my life. We can let go of the thoughts, the self-loathing thoughts that we're not good enough because we're comparing us playing our game to someone else playing a completely different game. Tiger Woods does not beat himself up that his free throw shooting percentage is not as good as Steph Curry's. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous to think about that. Why do we do the same thing to ourselves? So I got to tell you, I got to be totally honest. I'm getting blown out in the games that are being played by some of my family, friends, and peers. You might be too. But the game that matters to me, I'm leading the league. So this Buffalo, he doesn't give a flip about his golf swing. He's playing a different game. So there's 2 lessons here I want to leave you with. The first one, get really clear on the game that you're playing. And 2, don't beat yourself up for being in last place in a game you're not.
Yes, Rachel put it in another awesome way by saying that comparison is the thief of joy, right? I love that at the end as you're talking about looking at everyone else and you kind of get distracted about your own goals. You end up just kind of self-loathing, self-shaming, and it distracts you from where you're actually heading.
Yeah, totally. I think that was a Teddy Roosevelt line, I think. It's one of my favorite ones. The comparison is the thief of joy. So, all right. Well, what do we got next, Kim?
Well, I believe we've got some drawing to do.
Ooh, we've got some drawing. All right. Well,
so we did not do this last week.
Didn't get to do this last week. It was a little bit too tech heavy for what we had going on last week.
Too remote for that, yeah.
But yeah, so if you have something to draw with nearby, could just be a Post-it note and a pen. Got some markers, crayons, you name it. Let's get in. We're going to draw a buffalo. If you want to call it a bison, you can call it a bison. I don't care.
Are you going to finally tell us the difference? What is the difference between a buffalo and a bison?
I think this is a bison. A buffalo, technically, I think a buffalo is like those things with the big long horns in Africa, like the water buffalo things.
Okay.
Wow. Like I said,
really messed that up over the years.
If you type in buffalo in Google, you will see both kinds.
Okay.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
Don't get me started. Get verklempt. All right, we're going to draw a buffalo wearing a headband. All right. So we're going to start out with I'm going to have draw a rectangle, a real thin rectangle right in the middle here. Okay. And now I'm going to draw. Actually, we're going to make 2 lines in there. So it's like a stripes. Okay. Now I'm going to draw. This is sort of going to be like a rectangle, but a little bit curvy. Like this, and then there's going to be a little bit of a curvy bottom to it. Okay. Now I'm going to draw another little squarish rectangle here down here. And now this is kind of a fun part. I'm going to draw 2 little circles, but I'm going to make them kind of look like commas or apostrophes. You put this little thing in here, and then a little upside down, little frown guy there. Okay.
How come they're always sad?
I don't know. It's kind of like the opposite of a dolphin. How the dolphin always looks like it's smiling and happy.
They always look like poor guy. He's got all those flies by him.
So I'm going to draw a line, kind of on the side. This big nose thing. I'm going to put little eyes in here. Okay. And now we're going to draw his horns. And his horns are going to kind of come down. I'm going to draw little lines like this. I would love to see how many times I should just say little lines. Just draw little lines like this. Just do it like this. And then we're going to connect them down here. These horns.
Maybe that's why Bob Ross started talking about happy things. Because little was like little trees.
Little trees. Happy.
Right.
Okay, then we're going to draw 2 lines that come out this way. And then we're going to do a little half circle here. There's his ears.
That's cool.
And I think I'm going to draw like some little...
Happy little lines.
You know, they got that hairy nose thing going on. All right, now my favorite part is we're going to draw his, his little bushy hair at the top. And you can get as creative with this
Corona haircut-ish
as you want, right? And that's pretty much it. And then we can color it in a little bit. Let's do this. Yeah, it's a little bit. Needs to be a little lighter just so it stands out. I know buffalo aren't.
Okay, Helen says, buffalo are native to Africa. Bison are found in North America and Europe.
Yep, that's the official.
Man, we just really, literally, we grew up next to a place called Buffalo Rock, right?
Yes, we did. It's
on the sign.
Still there today.
It's like in Illinois. So I don't know, it's just what it is.
Any other comments there, Kim, while I'm filling this
A lot of people were just commenting earlier about how much they appreciated your message tonight.
Oh, good.
So that was pretty cool. A lot of appreciation for the natural lawns out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Love our lawn if you love that.
Ours isn't bad.
We do okay.
You guys, we've been getting the kids learning how to do this now, and they've been getting into it. So for his horns, I think his horns are kind of like grayish.
It almost looks like a purple you did there.
Well, yeah, I kind of did some color in there. Yeah. Now, I like to leave a little edge here on the top that gives a little bit of a highlight feel to it. If you see that, I don't color it all the way to the end, and I did the same thing with this hair.
Tracy Miller thought that at first that you guys were going to draw a mason jar. I don't know.
Just how it looked?
I don't know.
Yeah, it did. Yeah. It does, actually.
Well, and it kind of threw me off because
part
mason
here,
and bison kind of sound alike, too.
This part up here is like the threads,
you could
right?
totally do a mashup of a mason bison.
The mason bison line.
Yeah.
And get some. Oops, my red.
And as soon as we said Illinois, Suzanne said Cubs. So
we're gonna start that again, right? The Cubs.
Hey, Jason's pretty happy that we'll be watching some baseball pretty soon.
We're getting there. We're getting there.
It's getting closer, Suzanne.
And then we got my little red, white, and blue headband here.
Cute. Yeah.
I gotta say, this guy is pretty cute. This is one of my favorite ones in a while.
Yeah.
So there you go. There's your headband wearing bison.
This is gonna be fun to see yours
/ buffalo.
I can't wait to see everybody's because I think people are gonna take little different takes on this.
Well,
guy.
I forgot a part. There's a part I meant to do on the drawing level. Got to put in his beard.
Right? Yeah. Can you see that? Yeah, you can. If I move, you can see it in the painting. This is a huge painting, by the way.
Yeah,
I always forget how big this is. I like the little grasses down here. They're probably kind of hard for everybody to see.
All right, so here's that's the full. Now, what I'm curious to see is what little accoutrement people will add to it. Like maybe you can give them a pompadour hairstyle, or barrettes,
some cool sunglasses,
or style that beard up a little bit.
Right?
But it's at least the start. And now I know that when you want to draw this, you just start by drawing a mason jar, and then you add horns, ears, and a little fro on the top, and you're good to go.
And how do people send us their pictures?
That is a good question, Kim. If people send an email, you can send it to kj@escapeadulthood.com.
Seriously, take your phone right now, just snap it and send that email off, because when we get off the show, I want my inbox filled with little bison mason jar dudes.
Yes, and we chunk the show down. So on our YouTube channel at Escape Adulthood, we have a playlist that is just these little drawing videos. So if you want to watch them again, it's a little bit easier to do that. So
speaking of art, let's see what is happening from the studio.
There we go. All right.
Yes.
What we got here is so I have owned the fact while we were in Idaho. I realized, I don't know that I did this intentionally, but I realized I had 4 paintings that were this size that are all sort of inspired by this coronavirus craziness that we've gone through, and all of it really, just the unrest and all of that stuff. And so I'm owning that, and I'm going to continue with this series. I want to do at least 9, so we'll see how many end up being.
Huh.
But this one is inspired by a trip to Hawaii that we made last September, was it?
Yeah.
And some of you who have ever been to Oahu on the windward side may recognize
Lanakai,
Kailua would recognize the Mokes, which are 2 little islands that are right off the shore there. And one of our favorite things was watching not only the sunsets, but the sun. Well, we didn't see sunsets.
We didn't see many sunsets.
Sunrises is facing that way.
Yeah.
So we would get up early and watch it, and we had a lot of cool pictures. And I was just, thinking about all the darkness that we've been in, and the light is coming, and we've seen a lot of it. I mean, just us being able to go to Idaho, as weird as it was with the travel, was such a blessing to be like, okay, there's a little semblance of normal. Not totally by any means, but it's a little normal. And so just a reminder that dawn is coming. And I don't watch Game of Thrones, but I'm hip enough to know the
I wasn't hip enough.
The phrase "winter is coming," which is one of the catchphrases that was in the promotional materials for Game of Thrones. I have no idea what it means. I just saw it places, and they have a very specific font. So I Googled the Game of Thrones font, and I wanted to make "Dawn is coming" as the messages. So believe it or not, this is actually just the first pass at the oil painting. I still have a couple more layers that I want to add to it, more detail with the light and the reflections on the water and stuff like that, but it's still a little sticky. But I'm hoping Friday to be able to take another wrap at it.
You don't have a lot of the purple and orange colors
combo.
Yeah, that is really something I'm loving. So I don't know what changes you're gonna make, but please leave.
I'm gonna make it all green and yellow.
No.
No. If anything, it'll just kind of like accentuate it. So
yeah. We'll have to show this to Tutu Man. We met a dear friend in Hawaii who we talked about a couple shows ago, and I think he's gonna like to see this.
Yeah. So this
progression.
This is on its way. So
very cool.
I'm going to share that with everyone.
I like it.
All right, let's talk about some an Adultitis fighter. I'm excited to share with you guys. All right, so first of all, we've got some art from, not last time because we didn't do art, but the last time we had a show that we did art. You may remember I did push-ups, and Rachel and her daughter Josie did side-by-side versions.
This is pretty cute because Josie pretended to go to sleep, but then after a little while, she came out and watched the show with Rachel, her mom, and they got to draw together. So a little, if you're 8 or whatever, Josie, I think Josie's about 8. If you're on tonight, hi. That was a good plan. I remember doing things like that as a kid.
This is like when you're a kid. Our kids are still working on the savviness.
I know.
You'd be like, if you were quiet right now, you'd be able to be staying up. But because you're being annoying, you're screwing yourself, So we got this one. Cute. And Steven, I like his little take on it. He added the Mickey Mouse ears and did a Mickey version. So applaud the creativity there. And I wanted to share a couple older ones that we got from the week before. Helen.
She got the app.
Yeah, so people always ask, what app do I use on my iPad? And I use the app Procreate. And she got Procreate, and this was her first attempt
love it.
Playing around with that. Yeah, so that was super cool.
Really neat. And Amy, this is one of my favorite things about you, Amy. Amy shared this, and she shared basically this notion that her favorite thing is the before. So that concept of like anticipation. And that is Amy, that she shares, she's come to some Wonder Nights, and she's always like, I love the before. I anticipate so much. And so this is that before moment that she was savoring, and she sent us a picture of that. So very cool, Amy. Thank you for thinking of us.
Yeah. So Kim didn't know I put this in here, but this is a picture from our supermarket trip of pizza rolls. And I thought you'd like to share an abbreviated version of the pizza roll story for
I'm not
our
emotionally prepared
viewers
for this.
here today.
Oh, okay. The long and short of it, I shared this story at a summit. Is my first time I went to eat dinner at a friend's house. I was in first grade. They were all excited that we were going to have pizza rolls. I'm like, pizza what? And I'm looking at them and I'm like, those look disgusting. I was, 7 or whatever. But I wanted to be polite and all this stuff. So long story short, instead of telling them that I didn't like pizza rolls, which I really didn't even know, I've never had them, I decided to fake eat them and slip them into my pockets. So like pizza pockets going in my pockets. And it was like burning
so
my
meta
skin because they're really hot inside. Have you ever had like bit into a hot pizza pocket?
Holy nightmare.
Yeah, right. This is like something you wish you were waking up from.
So you're jamming pizza pockets into your pockets.
Jean pockets. And and the sauce is burning my legs through that thin layer in the pocket. And then by the time I got home, I had to like dig all these out and show my mom. And it was just, yeah. So long story short, when I see pizza pockets, all of this comes back and I make this face. So there you go.
Heck yes, I did.
So there's the pizza pocket story. I figured I'm probably going to get in trouble for this one.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Moving on. Mary Eickemeyer, one of our most beloved collectors of my art, we joke that someday when I die, that my kids will go up to Minnesota where she lives, and it'll be like the Minnesota Museum of Kotecki Art. And she is the owner of the Hope in the Darkness painting, which is probably the most popular painting that I've done in the last this year so far. Yep. So she was able to pair that with this other one that she has, and looks pretty good on the walls, I gotta say.
Really cool. She does a really good job with matching all her colors. See how the color is matching with the behind the whale. And so it looks so nice, Mary.
You would think I custom painted those for her, but she does it all on the back end and makes it look good.
Very artistic.
So this we're June or July 1st, but our Adultitis Fighter of the month for June was Jana Malden, and with great reason.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
Well, I'm not.
You're looking for the cheering. There you go. So she is awesome. She says that her playing with her kids is her favorite way to keep up the good fight. And she said when she says play, she means it. If they're on the slip and slide, so is she. So I love some of the things I want to share. Here's her family all dressed up with the pajama things going on. And they had a barbarian spaghetti recently. And I think she had like a video, right?
There was a video. And basically the kids were not buying it, which was really hilarious because they kind of sprung it on them. But the kids were like, no. And then after a while, she's like, you have to do this because us grown-ups need to have more fun. And then the kids were like, oh. And then they kind of bought into it and ended up having an awesome time. And
this was the end. When there was also a little one I didn't get to fit in the picture, but she was having a good time. And if you've never tried it, barbarian spaghetti is when you put down plastic tablecloth and just dump the spaghetti onto the table and eat it with no plates. So that was pretty cool. But I got to say, she talked about her mom. She said her mom, Shelly Hicks, has a sense of humor that can't be topped. And she is her biggest inspiration when it comes to fighting adultitis. And I want to share a few stories because I thought they'd really be helpful and useful. She said her mom brings fun to every gathering and reminds us to laugh through all parts of life, including when life is tough. My mom taught me to never say no when you can say yes. And this is, she says, the best adultitis fighting advice I've ever received. It allows me the reminder that it's okay to say yes to ice cream at 3 o'clock, yes to camping in the basement, and yes to mommy play with me moments. And I think that's a great reminder for anyone who's a parent that sometimes, I think grandparents have it down. Grandparents are can have fun and the hijinks. But the parents, sometimes we get caught in the busyness and got to do this and the schedule and all that. And that never say no when you can say yes is a great line. And she also gave an example. She said her dad is battling a neurodegenerative disease and lost a lot of physical mobility. While at the hospital for a checkup, the nurse who was taking an x-ray accidentally, I hate to laugh, but I know what the punchline is, accidentally left him unattended and he fell from his wheelchair to the floor. The nurse was obviously struggling with guilt about the incident as she retold the story to my mom. My mom's response, Dave, did you remember to tuck and roll? He chuckled, she giggled, and the nurse was forgiven with love and laughter.
Aw.
So I love that.
What a cool example.
Oh, before I move on to that, I want to share one more thing. She's talking about like one of the ways she fights adultitis is to remember a childhood simple pleasure and to think of something that you used to love to do and do it again. So she said, do you love spraying the hose into the air as high as you possibly could? And just her saying that, I'm like, I remember doing that, right?
Yeah.
It was
That's what I'm talking about.
She said, go do it. Let your kids watch. Let them try. Was it eating watermelon in a swimsuit after running through the sprinkler? Ask yourself what's really stopping you from doing that again. I wish more people in the world allowed themselves to enjoy things they did as kids without fear of stigma. So
that's awesome,
I
Jana.
love, again, we have so many great people out there to choose from as Adultitis Fighters of the Month. We always give a little award to the winner, Jana. Congratulations on winning June's award. Great example for all of us.
Thank you for sharing some awesome stories with us.
Yes. And I wanted to share, we talk about every once in a while the Escape Adulthood League, which is free community. Sort of like if you're already tired of the election year negativity on Facebook, make your way to the shelter that is the Escape Adulthood League. You can find it at escapeadulthood.me. There's always such, it's like a
tropical island
amidst the storm.
Right?
There's positivity, and we get deep. We get we talk about serious things, but there's not all the negativity. One of my favorite things going on right now, I asked if you could use a time machine to escape to any year, past or present, which would you choose and why? And some of the responses in there are really cool. I'm like, oh, that's a really cool idea, or that's really sweet, or like very cool. So, and we invite everyone, if you aren't already a part of it, if you already are, head on over. It's a great pick me up, and we invite you to be a part of things. All right, I got too many things on here right now.
By the way, Christy Ward, after that whole pizza pocket story, she asked if we have a comfy couch that you might be sleeping on tonight. Right? I'm glad I'm not the only one thinking that. So thank you, Christy, for saying what was in my head.
Just trying to keep it real here, folks.
20th anniversary, and this is how we...
Just trying to keep it real.
Are you guys having a killer time?
Oh, boy.
Okay. Giveaway.
Yes, we have a good question for you this week. And what will you win? Of course, Mr. Buffalo, Bison friend.
Time perfectly. Look at that.
Yeah. So here's the question. Okay. In order to have a chance to win, you have to be live and answer in the comments. And our question this week is, what game were you awesome at as a kid?
Or great at.
Or great.
I love how you look down here to read it.
What were you good at? What were you
great
awesome.
At? What did you dominate?
Right.
What was your thing?
It could be any kind of game. Board game, outdoor game, gym game, PE, that kind of thing. So give us your answers and one.
Oh, who was last week's? Did we didn't announce that.
No, we didn't.
I think I have it here somewhere.
Okay. All right,
let me look up in my trusty folder because we didn't do one last week.
Yeah, we're a little thrown off on our weeks here.
Sheila Walters Herring was the winner. Now it rings a bell, right?
The print, the canvas print of my brain is going blank.
Different is cool.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. Yes. Oh yeah, we gave away that big. Yeah, that was
awesome.
Cool.
So thank you.
Okay, so we got some answers coming in. Suzanne says hide and seek.
Oh, I love hide and seek.
Good memory there. Foursquare from Helen.
Yes.
Kick the can. Like that. Brett from Brett. Sharks and minnows. I don't know that one. Do you know that one?
No.
I don't know sharks and minnows. I'll have to look that one up. Dodgeball. And another dodgeball. Sharon. Yeah.
Yes. Awesome. Classic.
Volleyball. Kim
Ooh,
was the captain of the volleyball team. Once you could jump a lot higher once you had the pizza pockets out of your because those really weigh you down.
Sweet.
Those really weigh you down. How about this? Kiss the boys and make them cry. First grade.
Oh, Barb.
Ed dropped a clothespin in the bottle. We played it at my cousin's birthday party every year. Wow.
I played that at a McDonald's birthday
remember
party.
this? Freeze tag.
Ooh,
Kelsey loved freeze tag.
That's
Classic.
awesome. Mm-hmm.
Tracy, Fantasy Island board game. I was always an Olympic champion or playing kick the can
I
outside.
don't know that one, do you?
Olympic champion?
No.
Fantasy Island.
Yeah, Olympic champion. Have you heard of the Olympics?
Yes. Red Rover.
Ooh, classic.
What?
We actually got that banned from the schoolyard because people would just dig into their arms.
Yeah,
And it
like
became
neck injuries.
violent. I know.
No, I can't imagine that. Mary Beth Updike, not being athletic, I was good at Trivial Pursuit.
Speaking of the schoolyard, Mary Beth Updike was on that schoolyard with me. So how cool is that?
Love my print. Oh, Sheila's here.
Oh,
Cool.
Sheila.
Got it today. Thank you. I'm going to put it in
good
my
timing.
cubicle at the library. That's really cool.
Very
I'm glad
cool.
you got it. I'm glad it arrived safe and sound. Thank you.
Nice.
Hungry Hippo.
Oh,
Good
my
one.
grandma had that, but we didn't, and I wanted it so bad. The marbles everywhere.
Ooh, here's
Such a loud game.
one more here. This is one I remember. Ghost in the
Ooh,
Graveyard. Mike. It's a good one.
Yeah, flashlight.
All right, so we will leave this up. Keep these answers coming.
And maybe this will inspire to take Jana's advice and to play something from childhood or do something from your childhood, right? That you maybe
Absolutely.
haven't done in forever. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So as we wind down, we wanted to give you a little sneak peek. We've been hinting at this for a while now. But in Idaho, we got even more time to talk about our next big thing. And we can't share all the details yet,
It's coming, though.
but
It's
it's coming. I was working on some graphics for it today. If you like or have ever been to the Escape Adulthood Summit, if you have been a part of Wonder Hunt with Kim, if you have been, basically, if you like anything that we do, this is like taking it to the next level. This is going to be an ongoing experience where we are going to make whimsical, wonderful things and share them with people who love it. We're going to bring you closer in on the inside. It's a chance to do life with us, to hang out, to learn from each other on this journey to fight adultitis. I probably have already said too much.
I know. I'm like, you're saying more than we thought we'd say. Yes. So we definitely have a release date. It is not this month, but can we say what month?
It may or may not be August.
It's August.
So
it's coming. And that's what our whole July is going to be, is just basically getting all of it put together to be able to share with you guys. So it is a very exciting time and probably our ultimate Corona blessing.
It's probably the biggest thing we've ever launched, I would say.
Yes.
It's might be the thing I'm most excited about. It's the culmination of 20 years of work and experience, and it's going to be good.
Yeah.
So
if you are not an insider, which means you receive Sunday morning emails from us, please sign up with this email right here because you will be the first to know. And there are some exclusive things for the first group of people that are a part of this.
Mm-hmm.
So there will be some exciting, things for those first few. So please pay attention to those emails that'll be coming. I think we're going to drop more information little by little as the weeks wind down.
Yes. Let's see. What else we got? Christy says, I don't do coloring sheets in the classroom except for yours.
Aww.
One kiddo was coloring different in school and spelled out COOL. That means it's okay to be yourself.
Aww.
She's 4.
That's
That is awesome.
Very neat.
Kara says she is excited to learn more.
Yay.
And
Good
Leah
little
says,
boy.
woohoo, excited to see what this is. Very cool. So yeah, I think that's it. We will pick a winner for this print. Keep adding what your favorite game was. If you want to add what your best takeaway from tonight was, we love hearing that as well. Thank you for being here. I'd say that's about it for this show. Until next time, Adultitis Fighters.
Shine on, spread whimsy, and be awesome.